The solution to breaking the barrier lies in what is called iron will. There's a saying, a cliche, which says, your attitude determines your altitude. I'm going to be running a short slideshow of people. I'm sure some of you know these people. Keep looking at those names. How many of these people would you know or recognize? But as you see their names, you will see them in terms of their area of expertise and renown. There's also a disability which they were supposed to have. And yet, the world over, they have achieved a certain renown. Is it because they were geniuses? Is it because people gave them sympathy and pity and said, "Chalo, come on, let's push you up"? Or is it because they chose the path of overcoming an obstacle? Either breaking a barrier, or you know how you have those horse races with hurdles, just jumping over them. And at other times you can just circumvent them, go around them. So if you have some obstacle in front of you, you have various options. You either sit back, moan, groan, cry, and always say, what can I do? What should I do? I'm not getting the opportunity. I'm not getting this. I'm not getting that. Or you find a way out. And these people found their way out. They found their way out because of certain conditions in their lives. First and foremost, it starts with themselves. They didn't get into that self-pity role. You know, in Hindi we say, bichara hai. I am, what to do. The whole world is against me. Well, you can wallow in self-pity. But then that is not the solution to destroy the barrier. Change the lens. Don't put that ganda lens which will reflect back all the dirt to you. Polish the lens and look through. There are always options ahead of us. And you are young. Let me tell you one thing. You've heard of WHO, World Health Organization? Do you know that they estimate that almost 15 to 18% of the world's population has some disability or the other? Which means almost 1 in 6 persons has a disability. Imagine if the world didn't have given the opportunity to Stephen Hawking. You knew his condition, right? He couldn't speak. He could barely use just one finger. And today, the world looks up to him for his theories. To break a barrier, you need to have self-belief, and others need to believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself on the one side, and you don't find significant others in your environment who believe in you, your fate is sealed for the negative. And so if 1 out of 6 people in the world has a disability, you or I or somebody else, we need to have faith in ourselves. But at the same time, if we encounter somebody with a disability, we need to have faith in them and boost them up. We do not need to play the sympathy card with them. We have to play what is called it starts with M. Anybody knows what that? Something which is not sympathy, but it's empathy. You understand the person. Give support to the person. Have confidence in the person. If I've reached where I have, it was because I had parents who had faith in me. I had a school which believed in mainstream education. I had a college who gave me a job when there was no such thing as reservation. But then the onus was on me to do well for myself. So it takes 2 hands to clap. It takes 2 sides to succeed. And so whether we are persons with disability on the one side, Or we are bound to meet people with disability. Are we going to push them by and say, oh, let them be, no? Or are we going to find out how best they can succeed? I'm holding this cane in my hand. You'll see this? This can help me navigate. Or I've got a phone on my belt. It's a touchscreen phone. Can you believe I can use a touchscreen phone? I don't see. I am totally blind. In which case, can I? I can, because the Apple designers of iOS or the Android designers have all believed in what is called accessibility. What is that word? Accessibility. There is a talking software put in. So if I don't read, I can listen. So the simple principle in the case of sensory disabilities, I have a sensory disability, is what is called sensory substitution. What is that called? Sensory substitution. I can't see, but I can listen. I can read with my fingers. I can smell. I can touch. I know that I'm on the line here. I don't know how many of you would perceive a little drop in the stage here, but I do. So I know that I'm not supposed to step ahead of that. And 3.5 feet ahead, I can go down there. Right? So, sensory substitution. If I were not totally blind, but I had low vision, and there are lots of people who are low vision. In fact, as a center, we find people with low vision coming up to us very often. They hide their condition. They are scared. What will society tell us? That's the sad part of it. And we tell them, be upfront about your condition. Don't hide your condition. It is no sin to have a disability. It is no problem to have a disability. The problem is, if you allow your disability to rule you. Who's to be the ruler? Me or the disability? Yeah, me as a person, right? So, and mind you, in life we have challenges. So, in the case of a low vision person, it is sensory supplementation. I can magnify the font. Okay? If I am hearing impaired, sensory substitution works again. You have sign language translators. You have seen sign language translation? So there are various ways. In terms of people with learning disabilities and other cognitive disabilities, today the work in special education and remediation has made it possible to make good, or in fact work around the disabilities. And that's extremely critical. So, as they say, don't look for problems in life, look out for the solutions. And whether it's a disability, whether it's anything else, in fact, when you're working in your working place, jobs, one of the first things we as a center strongly believe in is what we call out-of-the-box thinking. Sometimes people look for very high-funder solutions when the answers actually lie in very simple workarounds, very simple solutions, very simple ways of saying, okay, I can't do it this way, let me do it that way. I use Braille to read. I use audio to listen. And when I walk, in familiar areas, I in fact also use my feet to tell me where I am, because I can make out the texture of the ground may change or whatever. Let's look at one other key element in breaking barriers. Don't make heroes of persons with disability who have succeeded. None of these should be treated as heroes. They are human beings. Every one of you are a hero. If you're going to give yourself that standing that you too are a hero or a heroine, then treat those in that list as heroes and heroines. Otherwise, you will feed into that psyche of, but they were great. Yes, they were great. And you too are great. Psychologists tell us that we barely use 5 to 7% of our human potential. Do you realize that? That means how much of our human potential is going wasted? Face life on the full. Don't imagine that, it's the end of the world. There have been people, sir, who have been amputees, who have climbed Everest. If they had allowed themselves to go into melancholy and self-pity, they would have sat at home. Life is a walk. It's a cycling experience where you have to keep balance. If you tilt to one side or the other, what will happen? You will go down. Whereas if you keep balanced, you can take the proper turns, curves, straight, up, down, jahan bhi jana hai, wherever you want to go. You will make it. With disability, you can succeed, but you may not have any directly observable disability. But if you allow your moods to swing, your temper to blow, your mind to get depressed at the shortest or the smallest setback, then that's a disability. And that's where you need to tell yourself, hey, I learned to walk, I learned to cycle, and I will walk through life or I will ride through life.